Watercraft Network Wednesday. Uh-oh. You all twisted up? You all twisted?
My bad. I didn't. Intern gave me the nod, and I thought we had like a couple minutes. You know what I
you weren't
mean?
ready?
I wasn't. I'm like unwinding the cord. I'm sorry. Hey, we only have 3 shows left, so we're
This
kind
being
of
one of them.
yeah. Except this is the third to the last show. Watercraft Network putting a bow on it for the holiday season. Got 2 left, and got a little echo there. Thanks, intern. I wanted to hear myself. Appreciate it, buddy. Got to give the intern props. In all fairness,
We
we
threw him
dog.
right to the wolves.
Well, we dog on him and we bust his chops, but he's done a great job. In the absence of super producer Bishop, intern does a great job for us. We appreciate his help working the board, and
Why is he watching YouTube?
he has this fascination with cougars. I don't know what it is.
CJ
He's just got this.
WD, right?
No.
No?
CJWC.
That's it.
Yeah, he's got this. He's got this unhealthy fascination with cougars,
Look.
and
Too bad
I
we
mean,
don't
it's
have that camera working.
look, it's not a bad thing. I mean, for him to be, obsessed with cougars. I mean, it's who knows? Maybe he'll luck out and find a sugar mama. I mean, God bless
Wouldn't
you.
that be something?
God bless you, intern.
Hey,
Then you can buy that ADR crankshaft that you're too stingy to
I
buy.
was going to say, it's like, what do I have to do for jet ski parts?
Will you stop with the friggin'? Will you stop that? I'm hearing the echoing. What are you doing, buddy?
I think he's talking to super producer.
I think he's talking to cougars over there. He's on what are those dating apps that they have? Tinder and shit like that. He's Tindering cougars. But anyway, we digress.
Swipe right?
Oh, that's it. He's swiping.
Or are
Okay,
you swiping left?
that's what he's doing. Okay, all right. So, hey,
What is it? Well, I mean, it's what? Swipe right?
we're sorry to digress and show our ignorance of these dating apps. I mean,
We've been married way too long.
I'm glad I don't have to deal with that nonsense. But
It's what, half a century between the two of us?
oh,
Or
God.
pretty damn close.
Exactly. Anyway, Watercraft Network Wednesday. Welcome back. We got to give some love. Do it every week. Big love going out to our friends at Liqui Moly. I noticed and have meant to mention it over the past couple weeks that Full Throttle Water X Racing out on the West Coast Regional Series, sponsored by Liqui Moly. Liqui Moly starting to spread a little bit deeper.
And not only that, but it's a pro watercross sanctioned events.
On the West Coast. That's pretty nice to see pro watercross expanding to the West Coast and not just being here primarily on the East Coast and kind of that's what has to happen. I mean, I don't know who saw Watercraft Journal, which we rarely agree with, did a big review on racing and a breakdown of racing. Had it out last week, and it was not really accurate. I mean, it was
So you're not sugarcoating this one?
it's what?
You're not going to sugarcoat this?
No, I mean, it's funny when you have, people who haven't been involved in the race community in the past 30 years try to recap what happened over the past 30 years. I mean, he didn't even get it right. He said the best year for model sales was 95 at 100 and something thousand. He's wrong. Best year for model sales to almost 250,000 units in 1996. It was the best year. Now we're averaging right around 80,000 units sold annually. So, but 96 was the best year. And, he didn't do a great job, but a couple things that he really hit the head on in saying that, Havasu is really just like a glorified regional race now. And
They promote the shit out of it.
yeah, I mean,
they still they're and nothing against the area because the area is beautiful, but it's one of those things that it's the jet ski capital of the world. Well, it used to be.
yeah.
I mean,
its time has passed, and that's the part of the problem. What he was talking about was rebuilding from a regional grassroots level, and he specifically addressed like nationals that used to be in Nashville every year, and how there's no payout associated with it, and it's not a high caliber race anymore. And I think to a
Well,
degree.
that's taking a pretty good jab at who's running it now.
Well, I think what he was saying was, he's looking at rebuilding and how racing can be rebuilt. And I think the one element that he just failed to really focus on is really the elimination of the IJSBA. It's just antiquated. I mean, it's a it's a telegraph in an email society. I mean, I don't even know if the IJSBA has a fax number. I mean, they have no social media presence. I mean, it's literally just one event a year, and their sanctioned events are really nothing. Certainly not like they used to be. I mean, qualifying events and events that were.
All it is a rule book. Is really what it shakes out to. And the problem that I see between IJSBA, Pro Watercross, and Aqua X is none of the rules really. You have to have a boat or build your machine for whichever sanctioning body you're going to run.
Right, right.
I can run this type of sponsor in this one and not here. And I can't even run a prop in that one for a stock boat. I mean, come on, guys, really?
Yeah, and P1 Aquax is IJSBA sanctioned. I mean, I think that's really one of the things that keeps them afloat is some of their regional programs, along with the regional series, because P1 Aquax is just a regional series as well, and it's at least here in North America, and I mean, I think it's a huge disservice to growth in mainstream, sustainability and attracting of, real commercial sponsorship and backing is, not really supporting the most successful entity and industry within that segment of the personal watercraft community, and that's pro watercross. So it's a huge mistake. It's still just, it's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We get the guy from the Watercraft Journal telling us how we should go about rebuilding the IJSBA when it's like, fucking bro. I mean, it's like, dude, give it up. It's done. It's over. There's no mainstream, support there. There's no CBS Sports. There's no Liquid Molly. There's no outside of the industry support to speak of at all. And I mean, they just keep.
It has the name.
Yeah, they
literally has a name.
They just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Like, eventually, miraculously, by some, freak, somehow miracle, it's all of a sudden going to be revitalized. And it's like, dude, it's not going to happen. I mean,
I think it was this year, just because of the number, the anniversary number.
Yeah,
they actually had a better turnout.
And he was saying that this year's better than last year because of COVID, but even this year, he said it was, it was abysmal. It was a horrible turnout, and I mean, so again, we continue to say, oh, we need to support this old sanctioning body that where racing started, and that's, that's where it all began. Well, sometimes you just gotta, throw the baby out with the bathwater and start all over again. And I think that's again where pro watercross is and why they're so successful, because they've made that separation. They're like, hey, we're
Havasu is just that iconic site.
Yeah, it's good. Absolutely.
And don't eliminate races from there, but it's got to be focused other than there.
100%. 100%.
I mean, race at Havasu, absolutely. I mean, they have a perfect venue. They have multiple venues on that lake that they can hold events.
Yep.
But there's more than just Havasu. So you have to don't eliminate it, but let's expand upon it. And that's kind of, to me, that's one of, I mean, now with this new Full Throttle series, it's a different ball game, but that's where pro watercross is lacking, is that it's southeast is a majority of their events,
Right, West
except
Coast.
for when we go to Wisconsin.
Yeah, West Coast presence. I agree with you 100%. And that's why, you know, it started off with,
Even mid. There's nothing in the mid part of the country.
yeah, yeah.
There's no Ohio. There's no
No,
Oklahoma. I mean,
right. There's a little bit in the Great Lakes area, but there's some down in Texas. But you have a huge portion of the country that there's just a huge void for competition
Yeah.
events. And
at a national level.
and well, and that all goes back to the premier sanctioning body that runs the world finals. You know, I mean, shame on them for not having regional promoters. Shame on them for not working diligently to establish programs in those areas. You know, I mean, they've done a hard. I mean, you remember. I mean, back in our region, back in the mid '90s, there was 8 promoters. You know, for the longest time, until AJ approached us and said he was getting out of regional, and Wayne started the series here in the Northeast. There was nothing here.
But then it was down to 1.
Yeah, there was, and you know, I mean, so it's a shame on this on the sanctioning body and for those that continue to defend the sanctioning body for delivering substandard product.
But even now, our area, Region 8, there's 1 promoter, and that's it.
Yeah,
So if
it's easy to pull numbers when you have no
You have
competition.
one.
You know, I mean, but you know, again, shame on people continuing to support the sanctioning body that's literally allowed, you know, the sport to deteriorate to the degree that it has, and you know, the same sanctioning body that permitted it actually was responsible for the formulation of pro watercross, of jet jam racing. You know, quality leadership does not allow that to happen. You know, and shame on the IJSBA because they just keep, you know, just driving the wheels off it. Just driving the wheels off it. There's no process improvement. You know, there's absolutely no, you know, looking to rebuild anything. You know, you just have these people out here who have no clue about racing, offering opinions based on information that was spoon-fed to them by interested parties, and it's a joke. But we're glad to see Liquid Molly getting involved at a regional level because, you know, that's really where a lot of the attention needs to be paid or focused upon is regionally because, you know, one of the things that we're going to talk about this week is, you know, we put a picture up last week, and it's a great picture of the 1992 or 1993 Busch Series with a bunch of X4 hulls. So it's like 650 Sea-Doo, you know, the old XP 800 hulls. And you can notice in the picture there's one course marshal sitting by the start gate on a Wave Runner. It's like one of those old
threes,
one of those. It's like a Wave Runner 1, one of those old 500s.
oh Jesus,
Yeah, it's old school. And you know, in the past 30 years, there hasn't been any process improvements implemented in closed course racing when it comes to operator safety outside of the stand-up class wearing a back protector. That's the only initiative that's been implemented in terms of process improvement and rider safety enhancements in the last 30 years.
Well, the only thing that they did was obviously revise the classification of the helmet and making sure that, like, when you got in your accident, I mean, your helmet was how old?
25 years.
Okay. In theory, by the rule book, you shouldn't have had that on, and it was never checked.
Yeah, but
And this is at a premier level. It wasn't checked.
And I think that's where there's such room for improvement because if you look at, like, let's take snowcross, for example. You know, snowcross, relatively new sport, commercially viable. You can't race without a tech vest. You know, basically body armor. You cannot race a snowmobile without body armor.
But your head, is your
Oh
main,
yeah,
and it's in the rule book. It's in the rule book that you have to have an updated helmet with certain classifications and certain certifications, and they're not checked.
and I think that's across the board. You know, and
Well, how many times when we raced at a regional level was it ever checked?
not since the 1990s that
And
I'm aware of.
at a regional level, and not picking on because of
No,
where we raced,
no.
but because there's been multiple owners of the series since we've been in and out. But what has been checked?
Yeah, and I think, somebody commented last week when we started, when we really touched upon this and said, well, the problem is nobody can afford staff. And that's really going to be what we're going to hear in response to this is, hey, it would be great to enhance rider safety or racer safety at competition events, but especially at a regional grassroots level, nobody has the money to pay. And we've seen it before. I mean, the regional course marshals have absolutely no training. They are not trained at water rescue. They do not know how to properly extract an injured person from the water. I don't care what anybody says, prove us wrong. I would love for any regional promoter within the entire country, anywhere in North America, to prove that they have course marshal staff that is trained to extract an injured rider from the water. Just doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. And to a greater degree, none of them have any real EMT or life-saving, emergency life-saving skills, probably aside from a couple guys that have CPR training. So really over the past 30 years, you look at Supercross, we mentioned Snowcross, now you look at Supercross. Try and go to an amateur Supercross race and not see the progression of Supercross racing rider safety over the past 30 years. It's staggering. It's staggering. I mean, you can just watch Monster Energy Supercross on a Saturday night this winter and see the volume of track staff that they have in terms of safety. Granted, they have a multi-billion-dollar company that's
Right, and you're talking
millions.
tens of thousands of people in the stands at any one point in time.
Yeah, so but that's the mark that everyone wants to achieve. Hey, we want jet ski racing to be equivalent to Monster Energy Supercross. Well, instead of investing back in, like, Watercraft Journal's talking about, and getting local sponsors to pony up money so you can pay out at a regional race, the focus first has to be purely on rider safety, and it's something that that segment of the community, closed course racing segment of the community, has not done well over the past 30 years. You haven't seen the same progression that you've seen in other forms of motorsports.
And the problem is, the boats have been obviously progressively getting faster,
Incredibly
and faster, which now puts riders at greater risk.
Absolutely. Look, tracks have evolved. I mean, you remember when we started racing, right now you couldn't hold a regional race at Englishtown. You couldn't do it.
No way.
Boats are too big. Even the stand-ups are too big and too fast. You couldn't do it. Englishtown, New Jersey was legendary here in the Northeast back in the 90s for incredible closed course racing on a tight, small course.
Which, when it was initially put in, was a place for the water to run off from the track. Then it was being able to water ski.
Yep.
And then the owner of the track bought the little biplane.
Right.
And that was a place for him to fly from his Jersey Shore home
into the track.
Yeah. And they had to widen it. I mean, they literally took backhoes and widened just
lengthwise.
It wasn't even lengthwise. It was literally they put a bump out here and a bump out over there and a bump out over there.
Yeah.
And that was their widening of the course because of they started bringing out the X4 hulls and the 750.
Yeah, you couldn't race those boats. Once you had, you're right, Cowie 750s.
You were done.
Yeah, it was all over. And it's a shame because, again, what's happened over the past 30 years is your courses have become bigger. So where you used to have two course marshals covering a small area. Now you have two course marshals covering a massive track with boats that are a hell of a lot faster, and courses that are becoming incredibly technical. You know, a lot of places now you see dual split sections, and it's incredibly dangerous, and that safety has not kept up with the evolution of the sport, and it's you know, I mean, really, you know, the courses I see now, the tracks I see now, I mean, it should really be for course marshals, because we've seen it, you know, on numerous occasions where a rider is down on this side of the course over here, and both of your course marshals flock over to that downed rider, as they should. You know, it's important. Rider could be injured. Rider needs to be extracted from the water. You have traffic coming at a high rate of speed. You know, oftentimes they'll throw a yellow flag at the scoring tower. A lot of riders don't pay attention to it. They'll just go right by it. But there should really be, the track should really be broken up into quadrants. There should be 4 sections. So in the event of a downed rider on this side of the course, your other 2 marshals can then control race traffic before it gets to the incident.
All right. Well, let's go back to pro watercross.
Yeah.
Okay. You have, like you said, dual splits, a huge track in Naples, and you have 3 people in the flag tower. You have 5 up in the main tower of power that they call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus 3 marshals
Yep.
watching the whole track, and all on radios. So they can actually sit there and dispatch
Right. And
where they want to send somebody. And they have 8 people, except for the 3 that are in the water, they have 8 other people watching the track.
And they do a great job at it. I mean, there's no question that that's where the bar is set, you know. And I think, you know, when it comes to non-tour stops, large-scale events, that's where the liability exists. And the liability also exists too, you know, with all these, you know, big group rides that you see getting together. You know, like we talked about, you know, that Florida Ski Riders event that was a couple weeks ago, where they were all riding like idiots. You know, there is no standard right now. There is no modern standard in terms of what is the safety protocol.
Oh, somebody's going to get hurt at one of those.
There's no question.
No question about it.
Those are a recipe. I mean, they're an accident waiting to happen.
That was down in the East River. Remember? Was it last year?
And, yeah, in Harlem. Yeah, head on. You know,
And it wasn't the same size ride, but it was
Right.
still a decent ride, and you had guys screwing around.
yeah,
And unfortunately, somebody lost their life.
and it's really unfortunate, because as these, you know, these group rides, club rides, I mean, like you take Florida Ski Riders, for example, they have no concern whatsoever with safety. Their concern is selling a product, which is their brand. You know, they're all worried about, you know, their internet persona and likes on the internet and how popular they are, and their little catchphrases like time to go or whatever the hell it is. They all have these internet personas, and they're more concerned with creating their own following versus enhancing safety within the sport. And I think to a degree, you know, I mean, it's not that way with closed course racing. You know, you have regional series throughout the country, you know, like we mentioned, Texas, out on the West Coast, Great Lakes.
Here in New York.
Yeah, you know, they're trying to put on a series, but part of the problem is, you know, most of them haven't raced for 30 years. These promoters aren't racers, and they don't understand, you know, that there is no modern standard for safety, and they're utilizing safety protocols that are 30 years old, that are pretty much antiquated, and it's very dangerous.
Some aren't racers. I know, like Great Lakes, Great Lakes Watercross there. They're all racers. They race in pro watercross. They race P1.
Which is different.
I know.
That's
That's what I'm
different.
saying. Those guys they're racers.
And that's
There's other sanctioning bodies, like you said, that aren't. They
And-
may have ridden, they may have attended, they may have raced once or twice.
but they
they're-
haven't spent the past 3 decades,
No.
heavily involved, and they can't tell you chronological history of racing the community. Can't, none of them, absolutely none of them are certified safe boating instructors. None of them even, most of them probably don't even have certification, at least in my opinion, because of the courses they're setting, the way they're running their operation, incredibly dangerous, and it needs to change. I mean, it's inherently dangerous to begin with, and not looking at your business, your operation, your process, and saying, how can I enhance rider safety, rather just saying, oh well, this is what the rule book says. The rule book, which was developed in the 1970s and 80s, says that I should have 2 course marshals. Use your head. I mean, safety is far more important than that, and the growth of personal watercraft racing and sanctioned or controlled events or organized events is highly dependent upon safety.
Well, let's think of it this way. New York State says your minimum insurance policy for coverage for damage to another vehicle is $10,000.
Yeah.
Okay. What vehicle out on the road today, if it was a complete loss, is worth 10 grand?
Very low percentage.
It's good to be 20 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
$10,000. And they sell those policies every day.
Mm.
So, just because it's the minimum,
Right.
and because they say it's the minimum,
Right.
doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do.
Exactly right. And I think that's what we're seeing over and over again within the competition segment of the personal watercraft community. They don't want to follow the pro watercross model. They don't want to say, look, pro watercross has been commercially viable here. They've been able to maintain fiscal viability, but they're the new guy. They're not the granddaddy that started it all.
They're not 40 years old.
Right.
They're 25 years old.
We're going to stick with the granddaddy, even though the granddaddy hasn't done anything really over the past 4 decades to really enhance the most important component of competition. I mean, just look since Earnhardt's death in NASCAR, all the changes that have been made there. It's staggering now what these guys can walk away from versus 25, 30 years ago.
There's crumple zones in a full cage, full tube car.
It's unbelievable.
Crumple zones.
It's unbelievable. And that same degree of concern has not been focused upon personal watercraft racing. And it's really a shame. And it's really a shame that the IJSBA is permitted to get away with that year after year and still has major outlets and media outlets within this community continuing to champion them and continuing to ask for support and help and tolerance. It's ridiculous.
Well, think about it. When you brought up Englishtown, when you were running Englishtown, those boats were 52,
you're
54
maybe, yeah. On a good day,
miles an hour?
right. On a
Right?
good day, you had those boats running 50, 52.
Now, you're running FX, SVHOs, GP 1800s that are running.
It's Sparks that are running faster than that.
True.
I mean,
But, but now we're into big boats that are
Exactly.
1,000 pounds compared to 300 pounds. You're running 300 pounds at 50 miles an hour. Now you're running 1,000 pounds, 85 plus.
Yep.
That's a hell of a.
It is. It's a recipe for disaster. It's truly a recipe for disaster. And, again, that's why, there's room for improvement everywhere. We seem, Pro Watercross does a great job, fantastic job in terms of safety. There's room for enhancement there. I'm sure that they've identified it, and it's something that they continue to focus upon. But, the other types of programs and operations, not to the same degree, and it's really too bad, because that, to the Watercraft Journal, is where the rebuilding process starts. looking at something that has not been at even remotely enhanced on a grassroots level in the past 30 years and putting processes in place to really, um, ensure safety in an inherently dangerous controlled environment. So,
Hmm.
so that's our take on that, and that's where we're at. As we said, we only have a few more shows left. We started doing this. It's funny. I was thinking about this because we started doing this and nobody else was doing it. And I saw a great interview today done by Don Dawson with Kevin Redinger, about his UMI Aquabike Pro Ski GP World Championship. Don does a great job. There's other outlets that are doing similar things to what we do here now, and it's cool because we were doing it before anybody was doing it here. We actually started with an internet radio show, which led to us here, and it's cool to kind of walk away. As everybody's getting into it, there's a couple more podcasts coming out next year, racer-driven podcasts that I'm really looking forward to, with some real good industry backing that I think will, really change the landscape of how things are, and but it's just cool that we started doing this, and here we are, realizing that it's time for us to step away and do some stuff behind the scenes and have some fun, and
Well,
really,
the other thing people don't understand is the time commitment.
it's huge. It's huge.
Just to do a half an hour or an hour a week, the time commitment to get everything prepared, have everything ready to go, the equipment ready to go. It's more than
It's a lot of work.
yeah.
It's a lot of work, and we've really enjoyed doing it. And we've met some incredible, folks, and had some really, really great support. Our sponsors and advertisers in Liquid Moly, WSM Performance Products, and Watercraft Superstore, SBT Black Trip have been amazing to us throughout the years. Highly supportive, and it's been really, we've really had a good time with it, and we've developed and maintained amazing relationships with those folks, and same thing with our friends over at Bomber, our friends at Jet Pilot, who have been extremely supportive of Watercraft Network throughout the years, and we're really thankful to all of them. So that's why we always tell you, Liquid Moly, best oil on the market, the best additives, just a fantastic product. Really invested in the personal watercraft community, and just really a great supporter of everything PWC based. Same thing with Bomber, WSM Performance Products, as we've said over and over again. We've used a ton of their internal components throughout the years and had a lot of success with them. Great product, WSM parts. Jet Pilot, Bomber, again, just amazing to us. And Watercraft Superstore. It's not too late.
Nope.
It's not too late.
True,
If you
true.
you want to order now, get something out there on your Christmas list under the tree. They have it all. You don't have to wait on Watercraft Superstore SBT Blacktip. Just amazing product, superior, just absolutely incredible customer service, and as we said, just
One of the other ones that's always been they've been one of our silent partners.
yeah.
Has been Fluid Film.
Oh,
So, and
Awesome.
we really haven't given them probably the love that we should have.
great
But
product.
they've always been
Very
right there and always supported our events, supported us.
and an amazing product to
Mhm.
boot. That's the nice thing about what we've done here is we haven't had to go get support from companies that we truly don't believe in. It's been really nice where we haven't had to take a product or support from someone.
And say we liked it.
Exactly. It's truly stuff where we've had a lot of success with it, and Fluid Film's one of those products. We've described it before. It's an amazing penetrating oil lubricant and anti-rust, anti-corrosion chemical that's fantastic for all watercraft applications and snow applications where we are here in the Northeast. Countless fleets of snow removal, plow trucks, municipalities, private contractors, as well as snowmobilers,
Yeah,
ice fishermen,
they use it for rust proofing.
rust proofing their vehicles because of all the salt and magnesium and all the stuff that's calcium chloride that's put here on the roads, and great, great product in fluid film. If you haven't tried them yet, look at them. Do a search on social media. Do a Google search. Fantastic product, and it's a great, great product to have inside the engine compartment of your personal watercraft. Because you see that all the time on Facebook. People say, "Oh, just spray it down with WD-40," and you're like, "Oh, WD-40 is a solvent cleaner." Okay, WD-40 will deteriorate anything under the hood of your personal watercraft. You should never use WD-40 on anything under the hood of your personal watercraft. CRC 656, that stuff's amazing. It's a great, great product. A lot of people, a lot of salt riders know what the CRC product is and have used it for years. We put fluid film right on that same level. Great, great product, great company, and really a great all-purpose chemical for you to have in your shop. So you're right, a lot of love going out to fluid film. So we got 2 left.
I was going to say, now we're down to 2.
Next week we can say 1 and done, but right now we got 2 left. So we'll see you next Wednesday. Intern, you got anything over there for us you want to throw our way before we go?
Somebody did ask, are we still going to do Jet Fest?
Oh, Jet Fest. Jet Fest is back for 2022. We're working on some stuff, but Jet Fest is back. Jet Fest not going anywhere. What is happening with Jet Fest, and it's a good thing somebody asked, Jet Fest is going back to its roots. Jet Fest is going grassroots. It's not going to be, we don't need to be the BSD. We don't need the pomp and circumstance, like you're going to Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. It's not going to be, we're going back to the way it was initially, where it's grassroots, it's about riding. It's not about, hey, I'll tell you what, if you want to win a Riva t-shirt or a Pro Rider magazine, Jet Fest isn't going to be the place to do it, because we're not going to have.
But if you want camaraderie, have a good time,
ride
a
on
nice lake.
Look, we've been to all the events here in the Northeast, and it's nothing against any other event promoter anywhere here in the Northeast. We hands down have the most desirable venue. There is no other event hosted within the Adirondack Park, and we hands down have the best venue, the best riding area, the cleanest water. Look, people from all over the world come to the Adirondacks, to the Forest Preserve. It's a world-class destination. So Jet Fest will continue, but it's going to continue at more the way. Look, it's 15 years, 2022. It's our 15th anniversary. And we want to go back to the way we did it the first year. Real underground, grassroots, not hanging banners and sponsors and kissing it. We want it to be about riders riding. So Jet Fest in 2022, you'll see some posts on that early after the first of the year. Like we said, we got 2 left.
We'll have some fun with it. I mean, we have some ideas and some things that we've done in the past, and
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just
we'll make it interesting.
the way these organized rides have all just exploded and changed. We want to go back to, none of these other rides existed 15 years ago. You had Wave Days, Daytona Freeride, Pismo out on,
And us.
yeah, and so Jet Fest's been around for a long time, and like we said, we're going back to our roots, going back old school, and making it about the rider, not about winning, like we said, a T-shirt or a hat or a duffel bag. I mean, quite honestly, if we want a Hot Products T-shirt, we'll buy one. If I want a Riva T-shirt, I actually have a cool Riva T-shirt with a blaster on it. I bought it. I mean, I don't need to go to an event that's not what personal watercraft events are about, and that's why we're going back to our roots. So, like we said, we got 2. We'll see you next week for one of those 2.
Have a good week. Stay